Am I recording? Hello again, it's me Chaz back with another video. I am extremely late with this one, but last month, back in March, there was a total of 4 nations that qualified for the World Cup. 4 from 3 of the 6 confederations, 2 from the AFC, that's Asia, 1 from the OFC, that's the Oceania, and 1 from the CONMEBOL, which is South America. The one nation that qualified for the World Cup from the CONMEBOL was the World Cup holders Argentina. They defeated Uruguay 1-0 and Brazil 4-1 to qualify for the 2026 World Cup in North America. That's the USA, Canada, and Mexico. The last time the World Cup was hosted in Mexico, Argentina did win that one for the second time in their history when they won in 1986, defeating Germany. Okay, now we're going to go to the Oceania, the OFC. New Zealand became the first nation from the OFC to qualify for the World Cup. This World Cup campaign was the very first World Cup qualifiers for an OFC nation to have one guaranteed spot at the World Cup. New Zealand, who was extremely strong in the group stages and in the semi-final when they defeated Fiji 7-0. They had a tough match against New Caledonia in the final. New Caledonia being the first team in the OFC to prevent New Zealand from scoring in the first half. But on the arrow mark, New Zealand was able to score, then got another one a few minutes later. Tie was pretty much done from there. New Caledonia couldn't come back. Last goal was late on, and New Zealand qualified for another World Cup. This time was their third World Cup they have qualified for. For New Caledonia, on the other hand, they still have one more chance to qualify for the World Cup in 2026. They are now into inter-confederation playoffs. They will most likely be ranked as the lowest team, and with that, they would have to get past 2 nations if they are going to compete at the 2026 World Cup. Also, these nations will be a lot stronger than New Zealand. At least they will be ranked a lot higher. So it's going to be a tough challenge for New Caledonia, but we'll see what they could do. Next year will be the playoffs. And now, not too far from the OFC, the AFC, there are 2 nations that have qualified from the AFC, one of them being Japan. Japan was absolutely flawless in the second round, where they won all of their matches and no team was able to get a goal past them. In the third round, they were very strong still, only dropped points against Australia in their 1-1 draw at home. Other than that, they defeated all the other nations in their group. A 2-0 win over Bahrain was enough, for them to qualify for the 2026 World Cup. And they have qualified for every World Cup since 1998 now. The last game was a 0-0 draw for Saudi Arabia, but didn't mean anything for Japan. As mentioned, they did qualify. And in Group A, Iran became the second nation from the AFC to qualify for the World Cup. Their win over the United Arab Emirates meant that Iran qualified for another World Cup. Iran's last game, or the most recent game, was against Uzbekistan, where they drew 2-2. That was the 4th time that those 2 nations played each other during the World Cup qualifiers in round 2. They were in the same group, drew both of those games, and this time around in round 3, again, they drew both of their matches. I should mention that Uzbekistan are currently second and only a few points away from qualifying themselves. So yeah, those are the 4 nations that qualified for the World Cup and will be joining the hosts. Mexico, the USA, and Canada. As mentioned, Argentina, Japan, Iran, and New Zealand all qualify for the 2026 World Cup. So that's 7. There are still another 41 nations that haven't been confirmed yet to qualify for the 2026 World Cup. Still from the UEFA and the CAF, so Europe and Africa, there still hasn't been any nation that has been confirmed to qualify for the World Cup yet. The UEFA zone only started their World Cup qualifying campaign last month, and the CAF, a lot of things happened, but no nation has qualified yet from that zone. And also mentioned with the CONCACAF, those three nations are the hosts for this World Cup coming up. The CONCACAF will continue their World Cup qualifying campaign. They're currently in the second round. With only a few games left to be played in the second round, we'll see what nations will qualify for the third round. And the third round of the CONCACAF World Cup qualifying campaign, that is when we start seeing nations qualify from that zone as well. I'm going to continue the match day videos of the World Cup qualifying campaigns in each of the different zones. Hopefully I get all of those videos out next week. I'm most likely going to start with the OFC, considering that World Cup qualifying campaign is now finished. As we now know, New Zealand is the nation that will represent the OFC at the 2026 World Cup, and New Caledonia has the chance to be the second nation in the OFC to compete at the World Cup in 2026, but they would have to qualify through the Interconfederation playoffs. So I've got those videos coming out next week. Also the 1934 World Cup videos, which mentions the 16 nations that competed at the World Cup in 1934. Those are the new batch videos, which interestingly enough included the current World Cup holders Argentina and how they performed at the 1934 World Cup, as well as the 1994 host and the 2026 co-host, I should say, USA, and how they performed at the 1934 World Cup as well. And finally, a couple months ago, back in February, I did go to Italy. I was filming for my 1934 World Cup videos, which is similar to the videos that I filmed back in January in Uruguay, where I discussed the World Cup in 1930, because Uruguay were the host of that World Cup. And in these videos that I filmed back in February, I discussed the World Cup in 1934, which took place in Italy. So I've got a lot of footage, I've got a lot of stuff I need to upload. There are videos there, it's just I haven't had the time to edit as much. That's on me. But I appreciate you guys watching my videos, listening to it as usual. Thanks again. So please like, subscribe, appreciate it as usual, and bye.